Hey, welcome back to another template design walkthrough. This design is another kind of a marketing ad kit for photographers. Used to make social media promotions. And so these are set up to use for posts. There's a 9x16 format also for reels and stories in here. So just a great way to make some eye-catching promo material for your photography business. So I'm going to walk through here, show you how these are set up. In this kit, there are 5 different layouts. We're going to look at one because updating one is the same way you would update it in all of them. So it's going to be the same process for each. But looking at this first one, let's just take a look at the layers that are in here, and then we'll go through how to make some customizations. Starting at the top are some color grading layers. There's a group of these here. These are designed to give a little bit more color saturation and a little bit of punch to the overall image so it feels more finished. If you expand that group, you're going to see there's a few layers in here. One thing I want to point out is that by default, turned off is this warmth control up here. If you turn that on, you'll see it just knocks the warmths, your reds, oranges, yellows, knocks those warms down a little bit. So if you have a subject in and maybe you feel like their skin tones are too warm or the overall is too warm, you can actually use this by turning this on and then changing the opacity of this for the level that you need to kind of decrease those warm tones there if you desire. But that's there. Below that, we've got a couple layers here. These next 4 layers are all going to, well, next 5 layers really, are all going to make up what consists of the bag here, the potato chip bag. So this top one is what's creating the highlights on the bag. This one is what's creating the shadows on the bag. Then you'll see this smart object here, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. This is creating the overall shape of the bag. And then below that is our shadow to make it look like it's laying on here. All right, so we're going to come back to this subject one in just a minute. But below that, here's our text layers. You can easily edit and change this to be whatever you'd like it to be. So we have text here and here. This is an overall slight background texture just to prevent any color banding. This is our upper highlight here in the top of the image. And then below that we have a couple layers, one clip down here. This is that background graphic. So that could be turned on or off as you would like. But then we just have a color adjustment layer attached to this here. You just double click and you could select a color from the image, or you could come pick your own color to customize that as you would like. And it's also set at a lower opacity, so if you wanted that to be a little more punchy, you could turn that up and make it even more kind of stand outish in there. It looks really cool with the text off. If you're trying like something really like simple and clean, that's a really cool graphic look. But let's turn this back down a little bit for now. And then below that, we have our background color. So this is the overall color cast of the background. And then we have this spot color, which is going to give you that dimension in the middle. If you set that to, a different color there, you could go with just a white. Mixing colors sometimes, depending on the colors, can look cool, depending on what you're trying to do. But I find that if you stay close to the color of your background is when it actually looks the best. So doing tones that are similar to each other. But again, that's my personal preference. All right, so let's click cancel there. So let's scroll back up. Now the last thing we need to look at is how to place the subject. Now the subject placement is done via Smart Object. All right, so the Smart Object is going to control everything that's happening kind of on the image of the bag right here. Now to get into this, what we're going to do is just double click on this layer thumbnail right here, and it's going to open up a completely new document window. And you're going to see within this, and it's going to be the same for every layout, there's 4 options built into this. The first is what I would call a full image. So if you wanted to just drop a full, like a senior photo or something like that, a full image, in other words, they're not extracted from the background, you would drop that in. Same for the second one. This would be another full image option. Then this one here would be for an extracted subject, and the last one would also be for an extracted subject. Now, you could drop a full image into any of these. You could kind of use them however you want. This is just how I set them up by default. The good thing about a template, though, is you can mix and match and do anything that you want with any of this. All right, so let's just start at the top here. We're going to expand this group. So under this group, we're going to see we have some text down here. And again, this is created so that when it's on the bag, it feels just kind of like a simple potato chip bag. All right, so I'm just using the school name down here to add a little bit of text at the bottom. That could be whatever you would like. And then at the top here, we have our little established in 2027 for our senior year. Again, just a text layer. And then we have this kind of upper graphic here. I've preset it for senior. But you're going to see there's some layer styles applied to this because it's doing some kind of complex layer styling in here. So if we expand this group, we're going to see the senior text is inside of this group along with our banner background there. So those could be turned on or off or changed however you would like. Then below that we have a gradient fill, which just kind of looks kind of interesting on that finished bag mock-up. This is just a little sample placement image I have faded out in here. It's just kind of show you where you kind of want to, you know, if you're doing a large face like this, this is about as big as you'd want their face to be placed. So just so you know that it's going to align okay on the finished when you save this smart object. But this is just a sample placement that kind of fits there. And then this is just a placeholder telling you to put your image here. All right, so let's just drop one here and customize this before we go to the next one. So it would be as simple as just, you could either turn this image on or off, or you could drop your image right on top of here. But let's find one and drop in here. Let's say we wanted to use this guy here. So I'm going to drop him in. I'm going to go ahead and expand to fit here. And now I'm going to do a little bit of adjustment because I want his face to fall below this. I don't really want to mess with the placement of this senior banner because it's going to have a certain placement on that finished image there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull his face down below this a little bit. And then one trick I like to do, if you've got some leftover space at the top here, I just like to rasterize this layer. Then I'm going to grab my square marquee tool and I'm just going to grab the top part of this image. And I'm going to go to Edit and Content Aware Scale. And I'm just going to stretch that to fit. All right, so it's a simple, real simple little hack there just to stretch that top out. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of this gradient here to something that kind of makes sense to match here in the image. So I'm going to double click here. I'm going to click on the gradient and then click the color and the color swatch. And now I can come through and I can pick if I wanted to make this just more of a neutral tone. I could even go to black, which might work. I could even pick one of these warm tones. Now I do find for me, I think it looks better if it's a darker tone, depending on the image, of course. Let's see what a darker blue looks like. Maybe like a dark desaturated blue there might be okay. Let's just say okay on that. And then okay there, and okay one more time. So that sets our gradient color. Now we can tweak the colors of our little senior banner up here. I'm going to double click on the banner shape. Now we just need to decide what color we want. I'm definitely going to want to use a color from the image. And I just like to click around and see what do I like the look of. I think maybe like one of these medium gray tones might look pretty good. Let's try that right there. I'm going to go ahead and copy this value, Command or Control C. And then what I'm going to do is change this outline. Now this outline is handled on the group. So this upper text graphic, that's an outline over everything in this group, which is this text. So what I want to do is I want to change that red stroke line there. So I'm going to double click on the stroke, click the color, and then paste that same gray in, which is going to match that other. And click OK and OK. And there we go. You could change the text if you wanted. But what I'm going to do at this point is just minimize this group. Close this smart object. Yes, I want to save changes. And it's going to automatically update our bag here with that image. All right, just as simple as that. So now once we had this in here, then I could just pick some background colors. Let's start with a nice dark color here. Maybe like that dark blue. Actually, that blue to orange looks pretty cool there. If you wanted, you know, to do something complementary that really stands out. I mean, we could even go with a deeper, warmer orange. That's going to give like a really nice standout there with that blue bag. Or we could go, you know, with like a lighter blue or something. If you wanted something a little bit more monochromatic in the color. I definitely like that warmer look. I think that looks really cool there. So anyways, that's option 1 within the Smart Object. Let's jump back in here and we'll look at option 2. So we'll turn this one off, turn this one on. Now this is the same thing. We're just going to extend this. There is some optional text that can be turned on and off here. We have our same established 2027. We have a little bit different text graphic for the senior right here. But again, we have some layer effects being applied on the group and on the senior text as well to create that effect. And down here is where there's a sample image for placement, so you can kind of see where to keep your subject's face. All right, so let's drop another subject in here. So let's drop this image in. And there we go. Let's resize a little bit to fit. And I'm going to bring her face down about there. So, you know, about the same as where the other one is, more or less. And then let's customize our gradient color same way. We're going to click here to the color. And I'm just going to pick from some colors. I'll go with that dark blue. That matches really well. And okay. And then we could change the outline of that senior, which is going to be changed again on the text graphic group. So there's a couple stroke lines there. This black one, I like it black, so I'm not going to leave that one. But this light blue one, I'll probably leave it light blue but because it matches. But just to show you, we could click here and we could pick some other colors from the image to see if we like something a little bit better. But I was pretty happy with that blue that was there. So we're just going to leave that there. That looks pretty cool. And so simple as that. We'll minimize this, close this group, yes to save. And it's going to update our bag image with that image. So there's our new graphic and our new option there. Once again, we could set the background options there, either some complementary colors, some of these oranges, so it really pops and stands out there. But it also matches because we have a lot of warms in the image. Of course, we could play around with these darker teal colors and then maybe a lighter one here, which also looks super cool as that monochromatic type of look. But I think I'm going to leave it. That warm tone I think looks really cool. Really makes it pop more. For our graphic color lines here, you know, we could change that at this point. We could go with some darker ones or some of these white ones. We could change that opacity less or more. So again, it really just depends on what you like the look of. Of course, you could color these as well. So maybe a little bit of a brighter orange there. Looks pretty cool. All right, we'll click OK. So that would be that one done. We're going to take a look now at another option here. So this time we're going to look at our first extracted option. So let's expand this group. We're going to see we have some lower text. I'm just putting you know, the subject's name in here. That could be anything that you want. We have a group where the subject will be placed. I just have a sample graphic in here. I was using a cheerleader sample, so I just leave that in there. You could literally drop in any, you know, a mascot, a PNG, any kind of background image that you want into this, or you could just leave a plain color here, and you'll see we have our background color set right here. But let's go ahead and drop our subject in by expanding our subject group. Again, I just have a sample subject placement here, just a silhouette to kind of see the size and shape that they'll line up on the bag as you would expect. Let's jump over here and we'll drag our cheerleader in. Let's go ahead and turn our silhouette off. And let's resize here a little bit. I think something like that looks pretty good. All right, that looks good. Now you could update the text by just opening, say, the lower text if you wanted to change the name. We'll double click, type in the new name. So very easy to update the text. We could grab both of these if we want to change the text color by clicking here. And we could pick, you know, if we wanted to use a white or maybe one of these blues from the background. I think it definitely looks better as a brighter text. Let's go a little more desaturated. I think I'm just going to make it white. I like the look of that. And so, yeah, you could change this background color here to match. Again, we could pull from uniform. We could pull from, you know, part of your graphics that you have in or whatever you decide to place back in there. Let's make that a little bit darker. Let me just sample here. Let me see the gray. We could sample some of that gray. I think let's just go, let's see what that dark blue looks like. Click OK. I'm going to close this, save it one more time. There we go. That looks pretty cool once everything gets applied there. So same deal here. We could just come in and let's go with like a darker blue. And then for our spot color, let's pick one of these. Push it just a little bit more to the cyan. There we go. That looks cool. Our line color, I think let's go black on this one this time. Let's see what we look like with a little bit more opacity on it. And there we go. I'd be happy with that. I would call that one done. All right, so we got one more to look at. Back into our smart object. Let's collapse all this. And this time we'll turn our last option on in here. Expand this group. So once again, we see some text up here. It's preset into an arch, but again, you just edit just like normal. And you could put anything you want in there. Let's just keep it nice and simple. Our lower text group is just our name here again. This is our subject group. If we expand, you can see we'll just put our subject. I've got a sample silhouette once more for placement. Then below that, we have that same background graphic that's used in the main design, but I just have it as the background here of this because it looks pretty cool behind our extracted subject with a color change option there as well one more time. And then the color of that circle itself can be changed in here as well. So you could go dark or light depending on what you're looking to do. And then the overall background color right here. All right, so let's put a subject in here. Let's grab this guy. All right, we'll drop him in. Let's do a little bit of resizing here. Make him a little bit bigger, make it kind of more of a headshot in there. All right, there we go. Let's turn our silhouette off. All right, that looks good. So let's start with some color. Let's start with the background color. I'm gonna come grab one of these jersey colors here. Yeah, I think I like the orange. Let's grab that. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and copy this value, Command or Control C. And then I want to update this text outline to match. I mean, it could be separate, but I like the look of it matching. So I'm going to come up here to the lower text group, double click on the stroke that's active here, click this color, paste in that, and that's going to make it match the background, and click OK, and then OK again. I'm going to expand this so that I can change the text and the color here. So let's put in a new name. All right, there's the new name. I'm going to grab the color and I'm going to sample one of these grays in here. It's kind of like a blue gray on the jersey. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm going to go ahead and copy this color in case I want to use it again. Now for our background, let's go to this circle here. Let me see. Yeah, we'll paste that same color in there. I like that. For our graphic color, let's make that this blue. I like that. And then our text up here, we're going to come in here and change this stroke color to that same light blue that we copied. There we go. Right, like that. Let's close this out, save it. And there it updates that design for that package. And then once again, I could just come down here and I could play with these colors. So if I wanted to set some orange there, maybe a little bit darker out towards the edges. And let's grab a little bit of a brighter, maybe go a little bit more towards the yellows. There we go. Right there, and then we could play with maybe the color of these. Then like a light orange, right like that. And there we go. Nice and simple. So there's some options in there. That's how you would set up each one for each of those different variable options that are in there for either your extracted or your full image drop-in. And between 4 options per the layout, 5 different layouts, it's going to be really easy for you to set up a nice promotional rotation that you could run through a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month of promos to put out there between your stories and your posts and things like that. Have a great time with this one. I think this one's super fun. I can't wait to see you guys put this in use. I would love for you to share what you do. Either send it in a message to me, post it in the JHP Backgrounds Facebook group, and I'm excited to see what you guys do. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you again soon.